Hi there. So this week we're just going to go over, this is just a quick slideshow, and we're going to talk a little bit about painting and color, if that's something that you're interested in. In the state fair, in a lot of the categories, you have the option of natural colors where you don't paint the seeds at all, or painted. And so a lot of times there are colors that we can't find in seeds that we want to express in our pieces. So we're going to go over that real quick. Most of the work I do is in natural colors, but we're going to cover it since it is an option for crop art. So we're just going to look at some artists that that do it really well. So this is Kristen Schroeder. She this was from last year, and it looks like she did a lot with like wild rice down here, and even maybe some, those look like maybe pinto beans or some sort of legume. And you know, the paws are painted, and just did a beautiful job with color, and it just is just a great example of what you can do with color and crop art. This is Dan Lindquist. He is incredible. A lot of his work, a lot of these details in here, like the fire, this is all that canola seed. You've got wild rice up in the wings here. Along the borders, that gray border around the black squares, that's all wild rice. And I think he's using canola seed as well in there. So he's another amazing artist. This is Kate Marita. Here's Sven from Care 11. But this is another example of, you know, of using color, blues especially, and also just an example of what you want your crop art to be. So something that I love about the state fair and crop art is how democratic it is, and how you can reach this audience where you've got the person that you've made the crop art of standing in front of it, and you know, and the colors of the umbrella and what that represents. And it's just a really fun way to connect with your piece. It can really connect with the community. So my daughter did a piece of Amy Klobuchar a few years ago, and it was, the title was Amy Kropichar was the title of it. And then she wound up meeting Amy Klobuchar and giving her crop art in person. So it's just a really cool medium and a really cool way for you to connect. And it doesn't, I mean, this is a beautiful piece here, but it's like what, it isn't all about perfection. It can be about other things too. So I love that example of Sven there. This is another beautiful piece. This one, the Bremer Bank, is a new thing, a new prize that in crop art, and they choose a winner every year. So this was just a really nice subtle piece using color here. And then that's all we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you how to paint, but those were just the examples. And this is what we're going to cover. We've shared our progress. We're going to go over how to paint seeds. I'm going to briefly go over dried plant parts, which is another division. How to file or split or change the shape of seed. We had a lot of questions of that when we were sharing our progress. I'll show you some different methods for that. Pouring seeds is a great alternative if you have a large space that you're trying to fill and don't have 300 hours to lay down Amaranth piece or, seed by seed. I'm going to show you how to fix mistakes. We're going to talk about filling pieces in from where we started last week. We're not going to have time to get those all filled in, but we're going to start that. I'm going to show you how to make a legend card, which is, it's really basic, but it's something that throws people, especially when they're entering for their first year. So we're going to go through that. We're going to talk about how to seal your work so that it won't, so that the seeds will look fresh and rodents won't get to your work, because that's an issue with crop art. Then we're going to frame our work, and I'm going to talk about how to prepare everything so you have everything that you need before you get in the car to drop off your work at the state fair, and how to make an emergency kit. So if seeds fall off when you're transporting your piece, you can fix that when you get there. And then I'm going to, there's a great Facebook community too that we can get you hooked up with. So that is what we're going to do today. And then I just need to get out of this. Aurora's going to help me here. Thank you, Aurora. And then, okay, thank you. So I'm going to move over here. Okay, so this is just a sample board that I've made here. Let me move some of this out of the way. So and we have, these are our lentils. This is wild rice. This was a face that I was working on that I didn't get all the way. I didn't finish it completely, but there's enough that I can show you how we can apply paint to that. And so what I'm going to do is, in the same way that we are working with a black board, I'm going to cover my seeds with, this is gesso. This is what you use just in regular acrylics. And I'm going to cover my seeds with gesso so that when I apply color, the yellowish orange won't show through, the black won't show through. We just want pure color, if that's what you're going for. So I'm just going to put just a little bit, just a little tiny bit. This is a square brush, and I'm just going to just gently, can you see? Let's see, yeah. What's the best? Yeah. Is that okay? Aurora, let me know if let's see. So I'm just gonna gonna coat it with gesso, and I'm gonna get in there. These were glued down yesterday. And I can hold this up too. Does this help? Okay, so I'm just brushing gesso into the crevices here. I'm just sort of working it in. I get a little bit more. And if I get too much, I can just spread it around. It's okay. And it looks like you can see like right over here, I got a little bit too much. So I'm going to go in, and I'm just going to go in with my brush, and I'm going to just try to get some of that out there. Okay, I'm going to put this down so I can see a little bit better. And I'm going to get in there and I'm going to try to, if there's some black underneath, I'm going to dab in there to get that covered, so we just get one consistent color. And then just go in and make sure that you don't have any excess paint in there. Just use your brush. Use a brush with a firm brush. Use a firm brush because that really helps get in. So that is the yellow split pea. Now I'm going to do the wild rice. And I'm going to go along with the grain of the rice on this. And I'll show my progress up on that other camera where you can see it a little bit better. So there's the wild rice. I'm going to apply some more. And this is gesso. White paint also works. Doesn't need to be. I had gesso, so that's what I'm using. But white paint is totally fine. It's crop art that we're making. It's not. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to be perfect, but white paint will do the same thing. But if you do want it to be, we were talking about how it brings out, this can really bring out the perfectionist in people. So, so I'm going to show you, okay, so I got too much, I got a little bit too much paint right here. So I'm just going to keep brushing with that firm brush and just spread that around, okay? You just might need to do that for a little while to get it spread around, but I'm happy with that. That's great. Okay, and now I'm gonna, oh, hold on. Gotta go in, there's a little bit too much over here, okay. But you can see that it changes with the different texture of the different seeds. So now I'm gonna do, this is gonna be a quinoa and the canola seed. Canola seed is also called rapeseed, so I might call it that as well. And Dan Lindquist, he was the one that did was it the dragon and the tiger, and he does a lot with the canola seed. So let me hold this up. Hold on, you can see that is filling in. Okay. And then you just want to get that paint in there so that it's not filling in you don't want it to be thick. You want it to just cover the seeds just enough, okay? And again, like a firm brush really does work well. And if a seed pops off, I can show you how to fix that too. So there we go. I'm gonna let that dry right now while I show you how we can change seeds shapes that maybe aren't fitting into to a spot that we want them to fit into. So let me put this over here. Okay, so get out my tools here. And if they can text, they can ask questions. Yeah. So if people have questions, or if I skip something, just ask and we'll answer that. So I'm getting out my tools here. Let's see, I've got my just have to find my pliers. Oh, no, I got them. I got them right here. Those are, yeah. And I've got this. And, oh, I want to get my soybeans. Okay, all right. So here are some seeds here. I soaked these overnight to just soften them up a little bit. And it just helps. You don't want to soak them too much because they might wrinkle. Again, this is something you're just going to, that you'll just play with. But let me show you. I'm going to split a seed right now. So this is one of the Azuki seeds that you have, and you want to find the seam of the seed. And then I have an X-Acto knife, and I'm just gonna go into the seam of the seed, and I'm gonna open it up. Again, you can do this when they're dry too, but this is a way to open a seed so that it will lay flat, right? Because some of the seeds that we have are totally, are round, and sometimes that makes them lay not as flat on the surface. Another thing we can do after the seeds have soaked, and then you would just let it, after I open it up, I would just let it dry. Something that's nice is after they soak a little bit, you can just cut them open. And I wouldn't be able to do this if they were hard and dry. So then I'm opening, this is like a purple corn that I found. I found it at Burrito Mercado. Actually has a lot of great seeds prepackaged. And so all I'm doing is I'm just slicing the seed open. Okay. So the purple part is really cool, but also the interior is like this beautiful white, which can be hard to find in seeds, that bright white. Now I'm going to do it with, this is just some corn. Like, let's say I need more of a square shape. I'm going to cut the bottom of that off and the top, and then let's see if I can hold this up. That's more of a defined shape of the seed as compared to, hold that up. That's just a comparison. And all that is, that's just an X-Acto knife that I'm using, okay? And so I soaked those seeds. I think I put them in around 9 o'clock last night, and I pulled them out this morning. And the corn works really well. Sometimes the beans, like this is the Azuki bean, and it has, I'm gonna peel this off. It has a skin on it that comes off, okay? So you could even take the skin off of it. And then this is the bean that's underneath, okay? But you could even use this skin as something. Sometimes, like when for mouths, like this is a red, this would be a really cool, like you could use this for lips or for petals on a flower or something. So you can use all these different parts in different ways, right? So you don't just have to use the seeds just as straight up seeds. You can, there are different ways that you can change them. So that, I love my X-Acto knife. I use this so often with my crop art. Another good tool is, this is just a, I think these are just, I can't remember the name of this tool, but it's just I call them pliers, and then you can cut them that way and get in. But I find that the X-Acto knife works better, and I like using that. One of the categories for crop art is a wearable category. And so sometimes jewelry is something that's fun to make with that. And I'm just going to show you a quick way to, you can, in case you want to make earrings or thread anything, sort of treating the seeds like almost like beads. This is,
you again. So.
oh, okay, here we go. And then, so I just drilled that and I'm cleaning it out with my X-Acto knife. So that's another way to manipulate the seed, right? And you can, that's, I'm just sort of cleaning it out with a needle like that. So if you have a bigger seed, you could do that. That's another way. Okay, now I'm going to show you one of my favorite ways to change a seed. Hold on, let me clean my space here. Okay. So these are, I'm going to use my soybeans, and I'm going to use, because you have this in your kit, I'm going to use my yellow split peas for this too, okay? So like, let's say you've got some yellow split peas that you are working on, and you are trying to get them into a space, and the space and the seed aren't meeting up. So I'm just picking up, it can be hard to see, but I'm picking up, this is just a yellow split pea. And a way to make them just lay really flat is to just, this is a piece of sandpaper. This is fine grit sandpaper. So this is P220. So it's a 220. So it's one of the finer grits. Emery boards also work really, really well. So you can use those, and you can hold the seed and file around it. But I'm just going to rub back and forth. And what this is doing is it's making the seed really flat, and it's just gradually making it smaller. Okay. And I really like that as a way to just make sure that because sometimes seeds just don't break open uniformly, and so so it's a great way to make sure that they're flat. So this is another soy seed, or I'm sorry, yellow split pea that I'm filing down. And let me show you another way to, I'm gonna get out my X-Acto knife. And these haven't been soaked, but I can still split them in half. So there is, that's a seed that's just been cut right in half. If you want to make, a line with more of a linear defined shape, you can line those up together and continue along with the split piece. So that's a great way to do it. Here is a soybean. Here is those are round. They're great shape. They're not super uniform, but I'm just gonna. This is a lot harder. This seed is a lot harder than the split pea, but I've worked it down I've worked it down so that it will lay flat now. The regular soybean would not lay flat. It would roll, right? So sometimes you want your seeds to just lay flat on the surface of the board. And I could keep going. And you get used to it. You get used to holding the seeds. Like it might not feel really comfortable, or it might feel awkward to hold something so small, but you do get used to it. And then I'm going to do another soybean next to it. And then you can just see how they lay more flat against the board as opposed to not filing them down, okay? So that's another really, really great way. And you might find that you do like the emery boards better, because you can hold those in your hand and file the seeds that way. Here, let's try it with one of these seeds that have soaked. So this is one of those pieces of purple corn. And then that's just gonna feel a lot smoother. And I'm gonna just sort of push down and sort of, I'm trying to make a curve on the corn. I'm getting on the edge there and just trying to change its shape. And again, if you're going to soak the seeds, you want to pick those really hard ones are the best ones to do this with. So these are the two shapes. This is the one that I filed down, and then this is just the regular one. So those are just some ways to work the seeds. I'm going to go in this one too, and I can lift some of the purple off if I just want white, because that is that true white is really hard to find. So I'm just going to go and get the skin off of this corn and try to get to the white. Although once I took this off, the purple almost becomes a little bit brighter, which is interesting. But yeah, then you can okay, and now I have white. Okay, so that's there you go. That's another way to get to different colors in your seeds as well. I'm going to show you what we do with wild rice. Let's see. Let me just grab some real quick. So I've got my wild rice here. We were looking, there was, when we were checking in, there was a piece that we were looking at that had some real detailed, an eyelash that we were looking at, and how would we get in there and do that eyelash? If you wanted to stick with wild rice, you would look for like the thinnest the thinnest grain that you could find, and then you just go to the end and go to where the grain is going to be most uniform. I know this is really hard to see, but I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to go up, because wild rice sort of comes to a point. So I'm going to back up a little bit and I'm going to cut that point off. And then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to cut the point off on the other side. And now I have a smaller piece of wild rice, but it is, it's going to fit in the space that I'm I'm trying to get to, that I'm trying to fill in. So then I find another grain of wild rice that's similar in width. And if I've got a finer area, a smaller area, I'm going to try to find a thinner width of wild rice. And then I cut off the tip and then the other tip just with my X-Acto knife, and then they line up and they just fit together really nicely. Okay, so you can do that and cut those as small or as long as you need for them to be. But that's something that I use my X-Acto knife for a lot, to get to make seeds fit and make lines fit into spaces that I need them to be. So that is how we can manipulate our seeds. There was another student that talked about defining the leaves on a plant, and a way that you could do that is by I think the seed that was included in the kit is the mung bean, and you could file this down on a piece of really, like I said, just fine sandpaper that you can get at the hardware store, and then those seeds can lay flat and on the board, and then they won't. They'll be more in line with the wild rice that you've laid down, or the whatever black seed you've used to define your piece. So yeah, so that's another way. So it works with all those seeds. Okay, so we're gonna go back to, does anybody have any other questions about how to change seed shape, or using tools? Something I really like to use when I'm working is, this is a magnifying glass, and that can help me just see what I'm doing, especially when I'm working with smaller seeds like Amaranth. And you can get this, I think I got this at Axeman for like $2 or $3. Axeman has a whole department of magnifying tools. So I would recommend getting one of those. And this just clips onto a jar, and I can just, I just have it right next to me when I'm working. That, and then a lamp, have a bright lamp, that helps too. So we're gonna go back here. I think our gesso is dried on these, and we're gonna talk about painting. So, can we see okay? I think so. Okay, the camera's okay, so again, I'm going to use a firm brush to get into my piece, and these are just little acrylics from from Michael's. So that is, I'm going to use I'm going to just let's see. I'm going to make this a little bit lighter. I'm going to make this a little bit pink. So this is just white. This isn't the gesso. This is just white paint. So I'm going to mix that up. And just blend your colors like you would if you were painting on a canvas. I'm going to clean my brush off, and then I'm just going to go in just like I did with the gesso with that hard brush, and I'm going to get in there. that on. And you can make that like if you want the paint to, you know, to have a variant where it's darker and fade up to a lighter color, you can do that. You're just painting on seeds now. You're not painting. That's the big difference. So then you want to get in there, get into your. I'm going to have this one just have that variation. So now I'm looking at it and I'm seeing. I'm going to hold this up so you can see it in the. There's some, I'm sorry, I'm learning how to do this in reverse. There's some space in here, some black I can see behind. So I'm going to go in and I want to make sure that that gets painted as well. So I'm just going to use a finer brush. This one, this is a soft brush, and that helps get in to those spots that I want to have totally covered. You might not want that space covered, but and I know on our first class we talked about making sure everything was black so that it pops. But this, when we're using color, we're trying to cover that up so that the color pops. Okay, so that is getting covered. I've got a little bit of excess paint on there that I don't like. It looks like it's just a little too much. So I'm going to go in with that hard brush again, and I'm just going to work it out. And I'm noticing that if I work too hard, some of the paint starts to lift. So wait for it to, you can just wait for it to dry too before you go back in for a second coat. This is our wild rice. Let's do blue. Blue is another color that is really hard to find in seeds, and I'm going to do light blue because a lot of people want to do skies, and so I find that, yeah, that's a color that I've I don't want to get your tables. Oh, it's fine. I'm just going to set it right there. As a color that that a lot of people wind up using. So I'm just making light blue here. And this brush is a softer brush, but there aren't as many crevices as I'm getting in with the wild rice, because it's a little bit more uniform than the pink. And so this is going on so much easier than the yellow split peas. Like this is really, it makes a difference between what grains you're painting. So the wild rice that I'm using is all going in the same direction, and it's working really well with my brush. My brush really likes the wild rice. So I'm gonna do that. And let that dry. And that, like, those spaces filled in really easily. So yeah, so that's what it looks like with wild rice. And then we're gonna do, let's see, we've got quinoa and the canola seed. And so let's do, I think this is a little face that I'm working on. So I also wanted to show you how we can detail like individual seeds. Let's see. Let me get out. This is the white. And I'm just going, I'm going to paint these. Their eyes. I missed those the first time around, but those, that's okay. So those will dry while we're doing the other part. And then I'm just going to do a brown, and I want to lighten it up a little bit. For the hair, I'm going to add some yellow to that, and let's get another brush. We'll mix this. These aren't the most high quality acrylics. Golden is a good brand that you can use. This is just what I had in my basement that I had extra of. So that's what I grabbed for today. But if you want to do real high quality, you can use like a golden brand. It's fine. I mean, it's not the highest quality, but it'll do the job. So I'm going to paint the hair right now. The hair is quinoa, and I'm going to brush that on. And while I'm putting this on, you can see it's so thick that I need to go back over it so that you can still see the seeds. So you don't want to lose the definition of the seed with the paint. So I'm just going to go back in. This is a harder brush, so I'm going to go back in, and I just want to make sure that I can that we still know that there are seeds underneath there. I'm going to go in with a dry brush now and lift some of that paint because I got too much paint on. And so I'm just going in with a dry brush, and I'm just lifting some of that paint out, okay? And that's what the quinoa looks like. And you can keep lifting that until you get the color that you desire. So let's see, and then skin tone, let's do brown. Just a little bit of pink. Okay, so then this is the canola seed that I'm painting now. It's sort of a brownish gray. And again, these are smaller seeds, so you might need to go in there with a dry brush so that to get any excess paint out. I also have these sponges, and those help get up the excess paint as well, and sort of blend everything. So that is the canola seed. And then let's just finish. These are the little eyes here. Let's finish those. And we're going to do brown eyes. We're going to do straight up brown. And, oh, actually, let's do a color that is hard. Let's do a color that's hard to find in crop art. So I'm going to go back to that blue. And let me see. Just trying to find another brush here. I'll just use this. This is okay. There we go. Okay, and then these are the whites of the eyes, and I'm just gonna, you can just, this is just another way to define your seeds, right? And, oops, I got too much on there. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna scrape some of that away. Okay. And so a thing with crop art is that you look at it so close up, and then once you get further away, it really does change how it looks. And so make sure that you step away from your crop art and back up and get some perspective on what it looks like from a distance too. So those are some methods for painting that are pretty simple, pretty straightforward. If you want, if that's what you want to do with your piece.
When the judges are judging it, are they doing it more as a close-up or a further away?
I don't know. I don't know what the judges, I'm not sure. That is such a good question, because with the judges, it's hard to know. Some things they just love and some things they don't. And it's really hard to know what, you can look on the, in the fair packet that I included their directions, and you can look at how they break down, you know, how they score things, but ultimately I think it's subjective. Yeah, so it's hard to know what those judges want. I'm always surprised. Sometimes that my least favorite piece will score higher, you know, or that, you know, than something that I really didn't like. So yeah, so just like what you're making and you'll be happy in the end. So let's see. Oh, we're going to use the same, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with your crop art. So make sure that you pick something that that you like. I'm going to show you now. We're going to move on from painting. I'm going to show you some strategies for crop art so that you do not have to lay things down. You don't have to lay seeds down one at a time, because that can be, some of us don't have all those hours in the world, and there's some effective ways to do this. So so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my, I've got my glue here, and I'm just going to, we're going to use these circles as examples. Okay, so I'm going to put down some glue. And I'm going to take a brush, paintbrush like we just used, and I'm going to show you two different seeds that we're going to do this with. The first one we're going to use is Thistle. So I've got my glue, and I'm just moving it around like I would paint. And we're just going to stay in this circle. And the most important thing is that the glue is uniform, because if it's thicker in one place than the other, it will not, it'll be uneven. Okay, so the first seed that we're going to use is Thistle, which is a little bit thicker. So I'm going to add a little bit more glue. So I'm just making sure that that is even, and then the glue will settle a little bit too. And be careful around these edges here. You can clear that out with a toothpick, but it can, your glue can pool. Like, well, in this example, this is a circle defined by wild rice. So I'm just making sure that I don't have too much glue up against the wild rice. Your piece might not have that same border. So, okay, so my glue is starting to dry. So I want to do this. I'm going to put a little bit more over here. Over here. Okay. And Thistle is not included in your packet, but you can order. I always need to order mine online. You might be able to find it out here at a garden or a farm surplus, but I just order mine, and then it is a great seed for, I call it tossing, just seed tossing. But my daughter uses this a lot. She just turned 12, so she just doesn't have the patience to sit down with Amaranth for 12 hours at a time. So I'm just going to take this. This is Thistle, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pour it on. Just in a layer here. Aurora, Stillwater Public Library, I apologize. Okay, so we go like this. I'm gonna get the garbage can. So all I've done is poured a layer of seeds on, but you wanna the trick with that is the glue, right? So now I'm gonna take this, I'm just gonna dump this in the garbage can so we don't make a big mess. And we have, that is the Thistle. So that makes great hair when and it looks like you can see the glue behind. When that dries, you won't see that. So it makes wonderful, my goat could have Thistle for its fur, or, yeah, I keep talking about, well, my daughter did, she used this method for her piece last year in the state fair, and it worked really well. She did, Kamala Harris's hair was made out of this, was her piece, that's who she did last year. That is what she used. So, okay, now we're gonna do Amaranth. So that is a really fine seed. And I'm going to just do that. Put down my glue, and I'm going to spread it around. And that's a Niger Thistle is the type that I used. So it also works really well for outlines. So if you do wind up ordering it, you can, I'm going to use my mask here. Scoop up some of this glue. So the Amaranth you do have, and the Amaranth is a little bit trickier. So hold on. We're gonna just make sure that this is all even. And it's the same concept, but Amaranth it's such a fine seed that you don't need, you really wanna make sure that you've got a nice smooth layer of glue that that isn't thicker in some parts than others. Okay, so I'm gonna spread that out. I've got a little excess down here. I'm gonna try to scoop some of that out. Okay. And it looks like I might need a little bit of extra glue down here. Just to make it, I mean, and yeah, and you wanna kind of work, you don't have to work super quickly, but the glue will start to dry. So you wanna make sure that you're, that you get it on pretty soon after. So that looks pretty good to me. So I'm gonna take my Amaranth and I'm just gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna pour it on. Okay, and then with something like Amaranth, which is a little bit finer, I might take a piece, you know, I might just gently tap on it. I'm gonna just put a piece of plastic over it while I do this. And just gently tap, don't push very hard, just gently tap. And then that'll help get the seeds to settle in. Okay, and now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just gonna dump it in. Okay. Let's see, there you go. And then there's the Amaranth, okay? So I don't like the edges there, so I'm gonna clean that up. I'm going to grab my X-Acto knife. And I'm just gonna go around the edges because the glue is still, it'd be okay if the glue had dried, but it's just a little bit easier to go around now. And just scrape off that excess. Because you will, it won't be exactly what you want. So you just need to learn how to go in and fix fix parts that you don't like. Okay, oops. All right, and then this is what it looks like cleaned up. Oops, which is so much better, right? And that's pretty pretty good. That's pretty even for the amaranth. It's a little bit thicker in the middle, but it will dry. That's just a really nice way to fill like a background. And like, let's say, you know, you can also go back in, and I'm gonna let this dry, but you can go in and maybe, you know, make some lines through it if you want, moving them from side to side, but this is another way to, I'm just gonna define that a little bit while it's still wet. But you'd want to do that with like an X-Acto knife, or hold on, I just had a, you could use a needle to do that as well. So anything with a fine tip is going to be your friend with crop art. And like right now my X-Acto knife is getting sticky, so I just need to make sure that I wipe it off as I go along. Okay, oh, and then that just happened. So I'm just gonna let that dry, and I can go back in, and if I've made a mistake on this and I don't like here, I could go in and lay those seeds down individually, or I can move it around a little bit. But this method isn't for total perfection. This is just for, well, I mean, I guess it's how you define perfection, but this is just, you're not gonna be, it's not going to be quite as exact, but sometimes that isn't what you want in crop art. Like, I love how this is perfect for hair. And if you were to try to lay that all down individually, that's not an effect that you would get. So this is just a different strategy to use your seeds. So those are two ways. And then I just wanted to talk briefly about, because we're talking about the different categories. This is, there is a category called dried plant objects. So, so here are some, this is just pussy willow here that I've collected, and that would be considered a dry plant object. I've been wanting to use this for a while. And I always, you can get pussy willows at, I know Trader Joe's has them in the spring, and that's where they're usually the cheapest. And I have some
So
other.
you dried that personally?
No, you buy them, they're already dried, and then I just pull them off. Hold on. Oh, here we go. And these are, you know, there's a huge wide world of dried plant objects, but these are just some ideas for you. So you could just see how that you could fill in a space with that. This is a pine cone. People make lots of things out of that. And then you can, you know, you can pull those apart. Like, let's just, you know, and make make some different things out of the pine cone. Again, I think I got this at Michael's, but you can just make different things. So here, here's a pine cone. You can turn that into a flower or a pine cone. And then here is this would be another dried plant object. And this would be, this is just wheat. And again, I think I got this at Michael's as well. And you can take these apart, or you can use the stem. Like I've used stems in the past. They are an excellent straight line. And then we're just going to do one real quick here. But this could be an example. And then we could just put some pussy willows in the middle of, or let's see, we could use these as the little leaves. But this just gives you an idea of what that category looks like. It's a little bit, the matter that you're using is totally different than the seeds. You can also use seeds in that category too, but this is all dried plant objects in this one. So I just wanted to touch base on that. I've only entered that category once. So okay. So do we have any questions? Does anyone have any questions about what we just worked on? I know that was a lot all at once. How's everybody doing? Are we good? Okay, we can't hear it. Oh, okay. Oh, that.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
Okay,
Okay, we're good. Okay, I haven't been looking up at that. Okay, all right. Okay, great. All right, thank you. I've just been doing this.
Sorry.
It's all good. Okay, so now we are going to, let me check and see what we're going to move on to. Okay, so we've gone over that. We've gone over painting. Oh, fixing something you don't like. Let's do that really, really quick because we're running out of time. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to take my my trusty X-Acto knife, and I'm going to just scrape away. Okay. Sometimes you can heat it up. I'm not going to do it right now, but you can heat your piece up with a hairdryer just to get the glue a little bit looser. And I'm just going to go in and I'm just going to move along the bottom here. And I'm just going to pick my seeds up. And it's okay. I think that was something that took a really long time to learn how to do, was that I felt like if I put it down, then it was there forever, but you can scrape it off. And even if it's black like that, all I have to do is I can go in with a Sharpie and cover that back up again if I want to. So this is a great tool too if I want to scrape off like this paint. Maybe I don't like this paint. You can just scrape that off to get an effect that you want. So yeah, so you just use an X-Acto knife to get underneath the piece, the part that you don't like. Okay, let's do tools with painting. Oh. What's that?
The card.
Yeah, we're gonna do our legend card, okay? So this always throws people, but it's so easy. So
I will say this is how I met you.
Yes, this is how I met Aurora because she was entering. It was your first year, and then you get to the end of making your piece, and then you're ready to go. And then you read the directions and it says you need a legend card. And what is that? So what that is I'm going to use this as an example. Okay. So I'm going to look at this. Let's say I'm turning this in to the state fair and I look at it and I'm looking at all the seeds that I've used. Okay. So I'm going to want to put down the yellow split pea. I'm going to put down. Try to find a really nice one. Like try to find the most beautiful seed. And you can just put down, if they're really small, like now I'm going to do amaranth. I'm going to do a little dotted blue. People go really crazy with their legend cards, and you can if you want to, but I don't think they're worth a lot of points in comparison. Here's my thistle. I'm going to do the same with my thistle. Actually, with my thistle, I'm just going to do a couple of seeds of the thistle because it's small. If the seeds are small, do a few, and if they're big, just do one. And I got some amaranth on my split piece. I'm going to pull that off. And then I've got some wild rice. So I'm going to do on my wild rice. And let's see, we're just going to, and I've got my quinoa. I'm not going to worry about my quinoa or my sunflower seed right now. Okay, so I'm just going to do, then I'm going to write. But if you were doing it for the fair, you would include everything. So I'm being descriptive. I'm not just writing split pea, I'm writing yellow split pea, even though it's under the paint. And I'm identifying the type of thistle. I don't know if that's what the judges like, but I think it might be what the judges like. Because of the category. I think I think they're into seeds. So, so this is your legend card, okay, right here.
I will also say that it does lay out what percentage of points.
Yes, I think, yes. If you look in the fair instructions, it will tell you how many points the legend card is worth, and it's a good amount. So, I mean, it's not as much as your piece, but you do want to follow. I think something that the fair likes is when you follow. I think they like it when you follow the rules. So just make sure you read those rules and you follow them, and then you won't be docked points. My very first year, I forgot my legend card, and I had to figure out what that was really quickly. So, so I'm going to get my piece ready. I'm going to frame my goat because that's the size that's going to fit in the frame that I brought. Something that you want to do to your piece is you want to coat it with, you've taken all this time to make this beautiful natural piece of art, and then you're going to cover it with an acrylic coating so that it doesn't get eaten by, I've had my pieces eaten by things, and so I suggest this is a Krylon UV resistant clear acrylic coating, and it's matte, so it's not going to be really shiny. If you want your seeds to be shiny, and some people do, you just get the gloss. But I would spray my piece with this coating. You can also use polyurethane, works as well. And I'm going to put my goat in here. And I think I might need an extra, you can use an extra piece of cardboard if it isn't fitting snugly in its frame. And I just set it in here, and then this is from IKEA. And I'm just pushing down these brackets that are going to hold it nice and snug. this is something, give yourself time to frame and do your legend card and get yourself ready to go to the fair, because this is when like the chaos happens. So I've got my, my goat framed. Then I have, I've drilled a couple of holes already, but just drill a couple of holes into your frame. These are called eye screws. You can get, these are the ones I have right now are, they're a little bit bigger. You can get them smaller than this, but it's what I had. And so I'm just gonna screw that in to the back here. If you don't frame your piece, it doesn't mean they won't accept it, but they won't hang it up. So if you want your piece framed, put your brackets on. And then this is just wire. You can get that in the, you know, any hardware store in the picture framing department. And then mine to be about that long. And pliers, and then I'm gonna just put that through, string it across, and then you just twist the wire around to take up that extra extra length. Okay, you want to make sure it's nice and tight, and then so that'll be they'll be able to hang that. Okay, this is just tighten that up. Okay, then you're going to take your legend card, you're going to put it in a plastic bag, you're going to close your bag, you're going to tape your bag to the back of your piece like this. Okay, that's taped. You're going to get this in the mail, and they will help you with this at the fair. But this is my entry. It says Artistic Dried Natural Plant Parts Amateur. And then they will fold it because they don't want to know who you are. They'll fold it, and then they will attach this. Okay, so that will get attached. You've got your legend card, you've got your entry, and then you're ready to go. Something that will happen inevitably is when you have your piece in the car, somehow one of your seeds are going to fall off. And so what I always like to do before I go to the fair is pack a little emergency kit. So it's just grab the seeds that are in your piece, grab some glue, a toothpick, anything you need that to fix your piece when you get to the fair. And then if you have an emergency kit, nothing will fall off. But if you don't, it will. So it's just good. It's always good to be prepared, right? So let me make sure I've got everything. Prepping frame. Okay, and we've just got a couple minutes left. I just want to go over where you're going to drop your piece off when you get to the fair. You're going to go in, you always go in the south entrance is where I always enter. I'm going over this because it's very confusing. They'll explain it in the instructions as well, but you need your ID and all your paperwork, but when you go into the fair, you're allowed to drive up to the Crop Art building. I didn't know that for years. So I would park across the street and I would lug my stuff all the way in. You're allowed to drive into the fair. So I'm just so you don't make the same mistake. And then you get to see everything get set up, which is super fun. And at the end of the fair, on the last night, you can start picking your things up. I think it's around 8 o'clock, the directions will say. Again, you can drive into the fair while the fair is still going on. And there's a parking lot that you can use and pick up your things. So you can't park on the street when you're picking up, but you can park on the street when you're dropping off. So just wanted to clear that up. There is a Facebook page called the Minnesota Crop Art Community, Minnesota, hold on, let me make sure that I've got it right. Minnesota Crop Art Community Facebook page. And if you just Google, or if you just search for Minnesota Crop Art on Facebook, it'll pop up. And please join that, and you can see other people's work and ideas, and it's a great resource for things that are going on in the crop art world. Yeah.
Any questions? Does anyone know how they're going to fill in their design? Any questions about filling in your design?
So we can use some of those strategies that we talked about today, where we're trying to, that was a lot of what I explained in terms of how to change the shape of your seed. That is so that you can get your seeds into these small spaces, like the tail of the goat here. I would, I would, if I needed to do that, if I was using barley, I might need to file down my barley a little bit to fit in there. So again, Stillwater Library, I apologize for seeds all over the floor. So now that's going to fit in there a lot better. Okay. Yeah. So do we have any questions on on how to fill your space? Did I answer the questions that people had at the beginning? Okay. 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 Thank you everybody so much for coming to class, and you're off to a great start, and please look at the Facebook page, or you can email me with any questions as well. I can give that to Aurora, and she can send that to the class along with the instructions and the syllabus and everything.
Yes, and if you email us, we will be sure to pass it on too, if that's easier to find.
Sure.
So
yeah, we can do that too. Yep. Yeah. So just keep working, and I look forward to seeing your work next year at the fair.
And if you want to post your pictures on Facebook and tag us, or post it on our page, the Stillwater Public Library page, we'd be glad to see them. It would be really fun to kind of follow up and see what people's stuff looks like.
Please do. Please do. It will make it feel like summer. Thank you so much, everybody. All right.